Hello and welcome to another episode of Lexx Education. It's the comedy science podcast where comedian me, Laura Lexx, tries to learn science with her gallivanting brother Ron. Hello, I'm Ron. I love being alone and Europe and Judith. Hi Ron, how's your week been? I don't know, because I'm not here. Ron's not here, everyone. Don't know if you could tell from my impression. That wasn't actually Ron. It was me. Anyway, Ron is, I think he's in Switzerland. I don't know. I've been too busy to text him, really. And I've seen him text me a few times. And do you know what? It feels good to be the one who's not needy for attention. He'll never listen to this, so I can say this with gay abandon, and I shall. He's off visiting friends and such and malarkey, so it's left to me to introduce the episode, which I haven't listened to because, guess what? I've been up to my eyeballs in work, but also I just haven't. I'm bringing a real Ron energy to this. What are we even doing today? Functional groups. I think this went okay. I think. Who knows? Anyway, how are you? Are you all right? Have you got a headache? I've got a headache. It's going because I did have a big glass of water. Do not tell Ron that I drank water of my own volition. I've got into a new pattern now, though, because I have to take supplements in the morning to deal with my incredibly low blood iron stuff. Apparently, it's not good that every time you stand up, you lose your vision. So trying to sort that out. And I have to take the old anti-Ds. And I think they really ruined my first cup of tea of the day. So I've started taking them with a pint of water before my cup of tea. Just smashing some water into my body first thing in the day. And don't tell Ron, but some of my perpetual headache has been vanishing since I started hydrating. So there's that. I've had a very, very busy week. I hope you're having a lovely Easter if you celebrate Easter, or just some time off if you don't celebrate Easter, but forced to have your rest time within the Christian calendar. That's certainly what I'm doing. We were supposed to go on an Easter egg hunt. It's currently Good Friday where I'm blabbering this around. We were supposed to go on an Easter egg hunt today. Me and child of the podcast, father of the podcast, husband of the podcast, Tom, is away. But then I read the small print and realised I haven't made an Easter bonnet for child of the podcast. Partly for the time reasons, and secondly, can you imagine anything worse? And not in my skill set either. I'm not like a craft person particularly, so I've decided not to go, and I think she's young enough that she doesn't know that we're supposed to be doing things like that around this time of year. So we're not going to do that. I think we're going to play Duplo this afternoon and maybe go to the garden centre where Child of the Podcast is in love with one of the staff. Shout out to Rich. Hi, mate. She loves you. Anyway, speaking of Easter and eggs and stuff, the Eggathon has landed. What? You're not a patron, so you couldn't watch it? You were missing out. You're missing out on so much stuff. One, you're missing out on the cozy glow of supporting two people who love making a silly thing that clearly you love if you're here and listening. Two, you're missing out on eggs. You're missing out on 3 eggathons, actually. There's one where I threw up. There's this one where there's actually some violence that I genuinely had to apologise for afterwards. And there's a third one that I can't remember what happens. But you're also missing out on so much extra stuff. And 2 Crimes and a Lie, for example, featuring youngest sister of the podcast and father of the podcast, Agony Dad, and all sorts of deep dives into weird and wonderful. So give us a support. As you know, there's no advertising on this podcast. We get no support or financial help from anybody but you. So we rely on you guys to make it even vaguely less of a black hole for us to make. There's that. Right. Go forth and listen to the episode now. And I will be back without Ron afterwards. Oh, I hope this biology is better than last time, though.
It's still, we're still doing molecular biology, but we're off reagents. The word Benedict shall only be said that once.
Oh, thank God. It was so dry, the last one, Ron. And when I was editing it and writing the notes, I was like, this doesn't even feel like biology.
But it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to A-level.
Oh, A-level, you're letting me down, King.
So we're moving on to a new little topic.
Yeah?
Yeah, 3.1.3 lipids. What's a lipid, Laura?
It's a fat, Ron.
Yes, indeed. We're going to learn about what fats are made of, what they do, and why they are the way that they are.
Okay, this sounds good.
Yeah, what about their physical properties leads them to sort of interact with our bodies and whatnot, the way that they are. Okay?
Okay.
The first thing that we're going to...
We're just getting straight on with this, aren't we?
Biology. Whoa!
Bow.
Plus, the last 2 segments that we just recorded, we had rambling, slow intros to both of them.
We sure did. Oh, youngest sister of the podcast and I bought her a new TV this week. I was there. I did not contribute to the purchasing. But she can now play plates and see the screen.
Laura, how crazy is it that you can replenish your hearts? Have you seen that before? You didn't seem to care.
Yeah, I'd seen it before.
Oh, I'd never seen that before. That's crazy beans.
I just think that there's the chances of having a heart box and getting that.
But I had both.
Well,
so I've got a Phoenix franchise now.
That's great, Ron.
I got I triple franchised tacos on my own.
Smart. I had a really sad morning, actually. I gave myself 15 minutes to play before we recorded today, and a 5 franchise coffee shop died.
Oof. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. I'm now doing breakfast where I just take all of the side options to keep numbers low, and then just make these crazy complex plates, but like I'm getting like 5 tables a day.
Nice. Do you realise though, Ron, we still haven't played our day 15 of overtime?
Yeah.
I'm scared now.
Nah, that one's... It's fully automated.
We need to find a time to do it.
Yeah, I'm busy at the moment. You're busy at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, back to biology.
Anyway, so there are 2 types of lipid molecule that we are going to be looking at, Laura.
Mm-hmm.
The
I like
first
the word
one,
lipid.
Lipid.
Like
the
limpet.
first one is...
Cupid limpet.
The first one is triglycerides.
Triglycerides. I'm going to put
And the other one
there.
are phospholipids.
Phospholipids. That sounds like a track. Phospholipids. Like that would be a Fatboy Slim track.
Yeah. Fatboy Slim's a bit before my time.
Yeah.
I wasn't part of the 90s raver culture scene like you were.
This is how uncool I was as a teenager, though. I remember being exceptionally excited to get a CD player because it meant I could skip Fatboy Slim instead of having to fast forward through it because I did not care for it. It was silly music that was just loud noises instead of handsome boys singing in harmony.
Do you like a bit of Fatboy Slim now? He's a bit of a Brighton legend.
Yeah, I do like it a lot more now. I get it. But what was that one called? The Funk Soul Brother. What was that called?
Funk. So, Weapon of Choice? No, that's a different one.
Trigger. What's that song called? See? And they don't even name it after the words that they're saying a lot in the chorus. That's stupid.
I mean, they often do.
I hated that song. And I really enjoyed skipping it on my CD player.
Wow. Anyway. So, we're going to focus in on triglycerides now.
It wasn't called triglycerides now. Triglycerides now! The Funk Soul Brother.
Phospholipids, triglycerides
Rockefeller Skank,
now.
that was it.
I used to get bullied via Fatboy Slim at my first job. Because he's got a song that... Hang on, what's it called? He's got a song called Don't Let the Man Get You Down, which samples a song by the Electric Five in the 60s, which was about hippie culture. And the line that gets repeated all the time in the Fatboy Slim song is, and the sign said that long-haired freaky people need not apply. And they just used to play it in the office.
Because you had long hair.
I had long hair, yeah.
Your little ponytail.
Man bun, yeah. Anyway, so triglycerides, Laura.
Triglycerides.
Yes. Triglycerides
Yes.
are made up of one glycerol molecule and 3 fatty acids attached to it. Okay?
3 fatty acids at the back of the bus.
Okay, so we're going to draw glycerol first, okay? To
Okay.
understand that. It's a common molecule that pops up, so it's worth knowing its makeup, okay?
It's gone for a high contour and a little bit of blush, but a peachy blush, not a rose.
It's 3 carbon molecules in a chain.
Okay.
And then you have a hydroxyl group coming off each of those.
That's an OH, is it?
Yeah. Well done.
I'm going to draw this out exactly as you've told me, and then I'm going to show it to you, and then you are going to inexplicably go, well, no, because you haven't done this, and I'm going to be baffled as to how it's wrong. Ow, I punched my mic.
Down a little. So 1 hydroxyl group coming off each of them. I did say a hydroxyl group coming off each of them. You filled in all of the gaps. And
that's on me.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't think that was on me.
So, and then just some spare carbon chains.
Well, from your knowledge of molecular biology,
they'll make double chains between the carbons.
No. What usually fills the gaps?
More carbon.
No, because it's a chain of 3.
Oxygen.
No, because
hydrogen.
Yes, hydrogen.
So then hydrogen's off all the other sticks?
Hydrogen's off all the other bits, yeah.
Okay. From my knowledge, if I were a baboon, and I am, now you're going to tell me that the hydroxyl group should have gone in a specific place?
No, I mean, it's odd. I don't know why your brain works like that, but that is fine.
How is that weird?
Why? Every drawing of glycerol. Hang on, let me show you. It's just not how anyone does it.
I've done them 2 off the side, off the edge ones, and then the middle one, it's off the bottom.
Yeah, bizarre.
Why is that bizarre?
It's just...
Where would you have drawn them?
Like this. I'm just sending you.
What?
All off the same side. Obviously. See?
Well, this is insane, this drawing, because they've done that portrait, not landscape. Who's drawing molecules? Portrait.
Well, because that then each of those OHs then connects to a fatty acid, so it's good to have those all trailing off in the same direction.
Oh, jeez, my Mary Beth. Okay, I'm redrawing it for a 3rd time. Oh. And then ha 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 ha. Okay. Right.
Okay. So we're gonna do a little bit of fast forwarding now, Laura, to something that we're gonna go through. Yeah, you remember when we were going through this, and I sort of said this all seems jumbly backwards to me.
Jumble Frog. Do you remember Jumble Frog?
Jumble
what a great
Frog, yeah.
episode that was.
First ever special we did.
Yeah. Do you think we need to do the Agathon before I go to New Zealand?
When's Easter?
It's before I go to New Zealand.
So
yeah.
I'd say yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Probably. Do you think we should have turkey and pigs in blankets before January? Yeah, I do think that.
God, we need to get planning, Ron.
Yeah. Anyway, listen up.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do a bit of fast forwarding to something that we're going to go into more detail in chemistry, but there's 2 things that we're going to cover a bit of as we go through this, just to do a bit of sort of side by side learning of different things. One of them is a concept called periodicity. Okay. And the other one is a concept called a functional group. Functional groups we've talked about before at GCSE.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
A functional group is just like a pattern of atoms that comes up multiple times and reacts in a certain way because of the properties of the elements involved and the structure of the molecule, okay? So we're going to learn about a couple of those. We're going to learn about two. We're going to learn about something called an ester, and we're going to learn about a carboxyl acid group.
You
Okay?
can't call one carboxyl acid group and the other one ester.
Why not?
Because that's mad. This is Frank and Cardronym Hydroxyboodle.
Look, I don't know where the name ester came from, but the
think
carboxyl
it's Hebrew,
acid,
isn't it?
No, but why is the molecule?
Why is the world the way it is?
The word ester was coined in 1848 by German chemist Leopold Gmelin, probably as a contraction of the German Essigether, acetic ether. None the wiser, to be honest.
Right, ester and what?
And a carboxyl acid.
Carboxyl acid.
Okay. Can you get up a periodic table while we're chatting through this, Laura?
I'll get my old notebook. It's here. It's still here with all this cash from. Woo! Cash money.
Yeah, bye.
I got my periodic table.
Okay. So, we're in chemistry. We're talking about how we're talking about the electrons whizzing around the outside of the atom. Yeah. And why are the electrons kept there? What are the forces in play there?
Catch and pull to and fro. That's what makes the atoms go. It's charge, Ron.
Yeah, charge. Thank you. Yeah, specifically what charges?
Positive and negative charges.
Absolutely, yeah. Positively charged
Is it
nucleus.
magnets?
Sort of. Positively charged nucleus, negatively charged electrons. Okay?
Yes.
What do you think would happen if, and let's just imagine it with magnets, if you had a bigger magnet in the middle?
The electrons would move further away. No. What? Come closer together.
Yeah. So as we go across,
Why is my first instinct always wrong?
because you're thick.
Ron. You're horrible.
Sorry.
You're so rude.
Don't ask if you don't want to hear the truth. So if you look at your periodic table,
Yep.
We're learning about how we've got the different shells of electrons, and each row and a crosser represents one of these shells, yeah?
Yeah.
As we go from left to right on the periodic table, what's happening to the nucleuses of those elements?
They're getting more full of things.
What things?
Neutrons and protons.
So essentially, that magnetic pull of the nucleus is getting bigger as we go across
So the shells get denser.
the row. So because the outer shell and the two atoms that we really have to know about in this case would be carbon and oxygen. Because oxygen has more protons in its nucleus, and the outer shell is starting at the same distance away as carbon, what oxygen does is oxygen pulls those electrons closer to itself. Okay?
Yeah.
This has a couple of different effects. It makes oxygen more reactive than carbon? Because we know that chemical reactions... You have to stop bringing Mackie up with you.
Oh,
You get
but
too
then
distracted.
There's an she sneezed.
Yeah. Not for biology when we've actually got content.
I didn't
Laura.
know that there would be content. Did you hear the last biology lesson?
Biology. Why I am on biology. So we know that chemical reactions are about the swapping and the moving of electrons, right?
Yeah.
So oxygen, more reactive than carbon, because not only does it have more protons, so it's attracting things in more, but also the distance between the outer shell, which is effectively where a bond is going to be, and the oxygen is then also shorter. So it's a much stronger pull, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
How
does
could
this...
I write that down?
Okay, so
Right.
the concepts that we...
Hang on. Can I do some thinking?
Sorry, you asked.
To me. I asked to me, sorry. Sorry, Ron. I understand that was a failure in communication on my part. Oh my God, Ron. In Real Housewives right now, one of the women...
Afterwards.
And her partner that nobody likes, they're pretending he's got cancer for sympathy.
Wow.
It's possibly one of the most harrowing things I've ever had to watch. Okay, so you got as the nucleus grows in content, we're talking protons mainly, the positive pull gets stronger. Okay, Laura, that's sounding great. So the shells of electrons are pulled closer, giving more hold and charge to potential bonds, such as Andrew Garfield. Or is it going to be Henry Cavill? Have they announced who Bond's going to be yet?
No.
Oh. Still could be us, Ron.
I could do an okay Bond, I think.
No. You are too chill, I think. Bond has like an underlying hypertension that I can't see you doing.
That's fair. Anyway.
In the second film, you would say, I can't run and save that person. Last time I ran to pill, I bruised my feet. And then you would not do it a second time.
Right, okay. What's this concept that we're talking about called, Laura?
Functional groups.
Periodicity.
Periodicity. Never go with your gut, Laura. Your gut is thick, but your brain is smart. That's periodicity, and that's Esther.
No, it's periodicity.
What was Esther about?
Esther is a functional group, same as a carbox. A hydroxyl group is a functional group.
Right. Okay.
We're learning about two things at once.
Oh, there's where you fucked up then.
Why it's called periodicity is because, you know, on the periodic table, we call the columns groups. Group 1, Group 2.
Yeah.
The rows we can call periods.
Oh.
Period 1, period 2.
Oh, it does say period on my periodic. Periodic!
Yes.
That's why it's called a periodic table.
Yes.
God, you'd think that would have come up before.
Okay.
My mind is all over the walls right now, Ron.
So
Now.
I want you to draw.
Mario's penis.
Actually, no. Let's just look at Actually, could you draw glycerol out? But where you've got the hydroxyl group, draw out the bond in between the oxygen and the hydrogen.
All right. See my playmate. You are now in a bond. Your bum smells like a pond. Wah, 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 wah. Which one is joined to the carbon?
Out of what?
The hydroxyl group.
Work it out. How many bonds does an oxygen do? How many bonds does a hydrogen do?
2 for oxygen, 1 for hydrogen.
So if the hydrogen's bonded to the carbon, where does the oxygen go?
In the bin. Okay, done it.
Okay, cool. So thinking about this concept of periodicity that we've just learnt about there. So you've got a carbon joined to an oxygen, joined to a hydrogen. What is a covalent bond?
Where they share an electron.
Where they share a pair of electrons.
They share a pair of electrons.
So what you've got is a positively charged nucleus, a pair of negatively charged electrons, and then another positively charged nucleus, pair of electrons, nucleus, in a chain, right? And what we've just learned through this concept of periodicity is that the magnetic pull of those different positively charged nuclei varies between them. So what's going to happen to the pair of negatively charged electrons in between them?
They're going to pull the hydrogen and the carbons like close. The oxygen's going to pull the hydrogen close to it.
Not the hydrogen.
Just the electron.
Just the electrons. Yeah. So this is what's called a polar bond.
Ooh.
Because now suddenly the whole sort of magnetic balance of the molecule is thrown off a little bit.
Yeah.
So between
oxygen's being a bit selfish.
Tis indeed. Between carbon and oxygen, the difference isn't huge.
Yeah, because they're quite near each other, periodically speaking. They're in the same period run.
Exactly. Whereas if you think about hydrogen, what is the nucleus of a hydrogen?
It's simply one proton.
Exactly. So the pulling power by the oxygen versus the hydrogen is massive. I'm just trying to find a periodic table that's got the periodicity on it, because you can get them. Because we have like empirical just numbers for this. Can't find it. Anyway, when it's between the carbon and the oxygen, there's a slight pull towards the oxygen. When there's a pull between the hydrogen and the oxygen wins out massively, right? Pulls it in. Hang on a second. Okay.
Yeah.
So apologies, I've confused my terminology slightly there. The phenomenon of this getting increased across the period, that is called periodicity. The actual force that brings in the electrons, oxygen has a higher electronegativity than
electronegativity.
Yeah. That's that. Apologies. I got
We're
two
a new band.
terms there.
We're kind of 80s inspired, but a little bit of Fatboy Slim. We call it like electronegativity. It's sort of like 80s emo. Do you know what I mean?
So, to give you
It's the fish squirrel!
Are you losing focus, Laura?
Yeah, you stopped for like 15 minutes to Google stuff.
Oh, I stopped for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Are you back in?
No.
Do we have to stop?
No. I got this little fish pig.
So, oxygen's electronegativity, carbon's electronegativity score is 2.55. Okay? Hydrogen's...
Hang on. I didn't write it down because Mackie was talking. Right, what? Oxygen equals 2.55.
No, carbon equals 2.55.
Okay, carbon equals 2.55.
Hydrogen, only 2.2.
Hydrogen, 2.2. Oh, it's not that big a difference, is it?
No, whereas oxygen is 3.44.
Whoa! Mackie, did you hear that? Mackie, you don't even know about any of these concepts. All you know about is your ball and cuddles. Must be so nice to be you. That's basically what I was like before this fucking podcast.
So you can see that the oxygen is disrupting the electrons around the hydrogen way, way more than the carbon is.
Yeah, it's a disruptor in the industry.
Yeah. These are called Pauling electronegativity values.
Well, now
That's
you're
the scale.
pronouncing words weird. It's pulling, Ron.
Pauling.
Pulling.
Pauling.
Poala! Suck in the cheeks!
Biology.
How do you spell powling?
Like the name Paul with ing in the end.
Powling. Powling.
It's a
This is
Pauling.
appalling.
Got there first.
Did you miss me while I was away, Mackie? I was gone.
Laura, put the dog down.
I can't. She's so healthy. Can you believe younger sister of the podcast's dog Jock is 9?
I feel like I've only met Jock like 3 times. Okay.
Look at this drawing of a horse's eyeball.
Oh, yeah.
There's some random crap on this desk.
Okay, so now we're going to draw a fatty acid. Okay?
Okay.
Do you remember the basic structure of a lipid?
No. Don't think we've discussed it.
We did in GCSE.
Oh, no. I've forgotten GCSE.
So lipids are fats. Fats are, at their simplest form, just a hydrocarbon chain of carbons with hydrogens coming off.
Oh, yeah. I remember this. And then you get saturated fats.
Saturated and unsaturated fats, yeah. So draw one of those, 5 long, but leave one of the carbons at the end bare.
Okay, so I'm going to do C, 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 C. And then I'm going to surround 4 of the C's with H's.
Yes, please. Perfect.
Okay. I'm sure something about this will be wrong that I cannot possibly foresee. But here goeth. Ha, 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 ha. Like this.
Nope, that's spot on.
Woo! I feel like we're doing a lot of content today.
Yeah, because this is the stuff I know about. I'm not even really using notes. We're going to turn that from just a lipid into a fatty acid. How do we do that? We add a carboxyl acid group to the end.
Hey.
Okay. So on that bare carbon at the end, I want you to do a double bond to an oxygen.
Whoa.
And then add a hydroxyl group as well.
Just a OH.
Yeah.
Okay. I've drawn the connection between the O and the H as well, Ron.
Great. What we've got there, obviously, is 2 oxygens in the mix. Okay?
Yeah. They're going to be throwing off all the polar bonds.
Absolutely. And one of them's a bloody double as well.
Doubler.
Yeah. Which only confuses the situation a little bit more. Do you remember what makes something an acid and what makes something an alkali?
No.
Do you remember it was to do with concentrations of H+ ions or OH- ions?
No.
Do you remember talking about this? I know sometimes I don't put in the effort I should, but this is one of the ones where it's just like, it's really hard doing this bit.
I do put in effort though.
Yeah. I do recognise you're operating at max capacity, but it's not good enough sometimes.
Do you want to stop here so we don't spoil what's been a lovely episode?
How long have we been recording?
35 minutes.
Well, we'll just finish this thought and then we can stop. But it's tough sometimes, okay?
Try being me, Ron. Just great swathes of my life aren't in my brain.
Yeah, as I've said before, it's fine for you. I just wouldn't be happy. What you effectively get with the carboxyl acid, you've got the oxygen on the double bond pulls not just one pair of electrons closer to itself, but two. That then throws off the feng shui of the carbon, meaning that the carbon then pulls electrons away from the oxygen.
The oxygen?
Yes.
I thought the oxygen was pulling the electrons off the carbon.
Usually would, but because 4 electrons essentially have been moved away from this carbon, its electronegativity increases, giving it more sway to even overturn.
Oh, I see. So the double bond pulls, then it's pulling off that single one.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. Which then means that oxygen in the hydroxyl group, it would anyway, but even stronger because it's also just had some electrons robbed from it, is going to yank on the electrons. It's going to pull on the electrons that it's sharing with that hydrogen.
Yeah.
And what you then get is a really high propensity for that hydrogen to dissociate from the molecule, which is what makes this an acid.
What does dissociate mean?
Unjoined, breaks the bond. Fucks off.
Right. So the hydrogen, the bond gets broken.
Well, yeah. Well,
and then what happens? Are the electrons then just free?
Well, with acids, what happens is, you'd get 2 different ions, one H plus, one fatty acid minus ion. But the reason why I said dissociate rather than sort of, the bond empirically breaks is because with acids, it's kind of a cycle of it breaks apart, it rejoins, it breaks apart, it rejoins.
Right, okay.
It's just because of the oxygens in that functional group, that bond becomes really, really unstable, but not impossible.
Okay, so that's an unstable bond.
Now, the last little brain nugget that will try and get you to pinch off, looking at glycerol.
Yeah.
Where on that molecule do you think something would join it? Like, where, knowing what you know about sort of atoms now and like this concept of electronegativity, where is ripe for a bonding on glycerol?
Well, would you have that dissociation thing with the oxygen and the hydrogen there?
Yeah. Exactly. So around the oxygen, because that's going to be destabilizing those bonds around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the bit that I'm getting at.
Yeah. The oxygen's going to be the problem.
So then, on each of those oxygens, a fatty acid can join, and it joins on the hydroxyl group of that before. Remember when we talked about monomers and polymers, we talked about hydrolysis reactions? Condensation reactions?
Oh, no.
Condensation because it produces water.
Oh, yeah.
So what you get is you get a condensation reaction 3 times in between the fatty acid and the glycerol. So water leaves it, and then you get the glycerol forming a bond to the fatty acids. And you get something that looks like this.
She's going to the WhatsApp web to have a look. Crikey crumbles. What's an R?
So R is basically a placeholder because that's where the lipid chain would be on the fatty acid, but we don't know how long it is. There's no point in drawing it all out. So we just call it an R group. You also see that in amino acids and stuff when you've got the variable R group that could be something else. So that's just a lipid chain going out that way.
Okay.
then, you've got the glyceride forming that backbone of 3 carbons there at the top.
Yeah.
Each of those still connected to 1 oxygen, but then, rather than just an H on the end, we go straight into the fatty acid. We've got the C that's double connected to an oxygen there. This bond that connects the carbon to carbon with a double oxygen attached to it, that is your ester bond. That's another functional group.
Ester bond.
What that means,
would get the right-wing lads in my comments section angry if I was playing Ester Bond. Then I am Bond. Ester Bond.
And there's letters in it as well, which is a bond thing. S. So, Laura, can you just draw out a quick S?
No, I'm finished.
Draw out a quick S. Laura, draw out just a quick Ester Bond to finish it off.
I don't know what an Ester Bond is.
I've just said it loads of times.
Gloria Ester Bond. Is that the O double C?
It's the carbon to the oxygen to the carbon with the double O.
Yeah, there.
You've just drawn a carbon with a double O. You're too thick to help. Right, we're stopping. You're the child that's going to get left behind. You can't be helped.
You hated the old system as well.
Did I?
Yeah, you were always telling me off for writing the word episode.
Yeah, that's a different thing. And
But
also,
now-
I would never told you off for writing the word episode. I just didn't see why I had to write the word episode.
So that they all look the same. Now it's just season 2, number 10. That's much less.
We're talking about different things, but that's okay.
Oh, what do you hate now?
Oh, it just is in like, I don't know where we are anymore. What number is this in total?
Oh, that's in the spreadsheet. Don't worry. I've kept up with where we are in total. It's episode
I was looking at the
149
spreadsheet.
in total.
That's
So
mad.
actually today we're going to record the 150th episode.
Maybe that's a mention in the intro outro thing. Just for the notes on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do that when I edit it.
Lovely.
Should we do a quiz?
Yeah.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
I don't know if it is going to be a bloodbath because I feel like you got what we were talking about.
How much detail are you going to ask about it in?
A decent amount.
There, bloodbath.
All right, Laura. We're going to start easy, lowball it, okay? 1 mark. Simple pimples. What's a functional group?
An O and an H. No, that's a hydroxyl group. Fuck. A functional group is...
I think I almost burnt my house down earlier.
Did you? How come?
I was using my air fryer, and at some point the air was fried too hard, and something had flicked up onto the heating element. So just like smoke started coming out the top of it. But then I had a look, and it was just like some schmutz on the heating element. But
Well,
for a
see,
while-
this is where it's so much safer to have an air fryer than the old deep fryers of yore. Okay, is that 1 mark?
For naming a hydroxyl group. Well, actually, my
No,
question number
a
2 was going to
functional
be,
group, Ron,
what
is
is
like-
a hydroxyl group? So I will give you that mark now.
Great. A functional group is like a group of atoms that all have similar properties, like react in similar ways.
I feel like you get it, but take another run up at the explanation.
I never know what you mean by that, as if I didn't put all of the thoughts I have to have together in a sentence the first time I say it.
Okay, I won't give you another chance.
But
0
What do you
marks.
want me to say?
Because it's not a group of atoms that have similar properties. It's a sort of a molecular structure that recurs in a lot of molecules and gives that structure a a set of properties.
And you thought I was just going to swallow a couple of times, blink once, and then say that instead of what I said.
No, I thought you might have thought about the fact that it happens in molecules, or the fact that it's more about sort of the configuration or the shape of it, rather than just being a collection of atoms.
I didn't know about
Look,
any of that stuff.
Bud, I'm never going to give up on you. I'm always going to expect more and hope that you can do better. You've
Thanks,
given up,
Ron.
but that doesn't mean I have.
I haven't given up. I tried really hard.
What's a fatty acid? And this is for 3 marks. So there are 3 things I need you to say.
Fatty acid is a molecule of lipid that has a hydroxyl group in the molecule. 3.
2.
Oh, that is better than the 0 I thought was coming out of your face.
Well, it's because I actually meant to ask you what triglyceride is. What's triglyceride?
Oh, I have no idea.
For 3 marks.
Don't know. A lipid? Look at this tiny jug.
Oh yeah. No, it's 3 fatty acids joined together by a glycerol molecule with ester bonds in between them.
Ester bonds. I forgot about ester bond.
Okay, so that's 0 out of 3. then.
No, because you have to give me the marks for the question you actually
I have.
asked.
I've given you 2 out of 3 for those ones and 0 out of 3 for that one.
Okay. Fair.
All right, Laura. For 3 marks again, please explain what a polar bond is and why it happens.
Okay, I remember this bit. A polar bond is Is that me or you?
Me. I'm just going to mute.
Mute. I hate that we're recording on April Fool's Day. All I've thought about all day is the word tricho. A polar bond is when there's a covalent bond within a molecule, and the polarity of one atom is much stronger than other atoms within the bonds. So the strength of the pull of, let's say, an oxygen atom pulls harder on the shared electrons because it's closer in and has a stronger charge than the hydrogen or whatever that it's linking to. And so the atoms get pulled in closer to that atom, its nucleus. So therefore it affects the structure of the molecule and the bonding.
It's not called polarity. What's the property that we're sort of talking about there? Have another go at it.
Charge?
It's related, but not quite. Okay. Why? So you mentioned that sort of the edge of an oxygen atom, like, is closer into it than other things. Why is that?
Because of the number of shells that it has in relation to the number of it's affected by the number of shells on that atom and the number of protons in the nucleus. So the more protons, the stronger the charge.
And why does the charge affect the size of it?
What do you mean?
Why does the number of protons, the charge of the nucleus, affect the size of the atom?
Because the protons have positive charge. So the more of them there are, the more positive charge there is. So the more they can hold.
Yeah. What's the other side of that sort of equation? They've got the positive charge, so
they can hold more electrons.
And then the electrons are
negative.
And it pulls them in closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not necessarily about being able to hold more. Stronger charge pulls in that outer ring closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you 2 out of 3 for that. The only thing that you missed out was just the property is just electronegativity.
Oh, I forgot about that word.
Yeah, I did mistakenly call it periodicity for a lot of the lesson. And if
I
you'd
do
said
remember making a
periodicity,
joke and thinking it sounded like David Bowie's music.
electronegativity.
Yeah. Shame. Shame, shame, shame. You know?
I mean, that song's called Fame, but
Oh.
I think that just says a lot about how
Yeah,
you
pretty
feel about yourself in the industry you're in.
Ooh.
Laura, what's an R group? For 1 mark.
I remember thinking R was an annoying name. No memory at all.
An R group is sort of a variable placeholder that you can use when you're drawing a molecule.
Interesting.
So, for example, with amino acids, the
Yeah,
base
you
of
just put
them
an
all has
R
the
on the
same
edge.
structure, and then you would just
Yeah.
do like it going to an R because there are 20 there's more than that, but in humans there's 20 different amino acids, so that R could represent any of them, but you know that you're looking at an amino acid.
Yeah.
Last one. Please draw an ester and just on either side of it cap it with R groups. I should say as well, you only got 2 out of 3 for the fatty acid because it doesn't have a hydroxyl group on it. It's got a carboxylic acid group on it.
Oh. Diddy-da!
No, what have you drawn?
I don't know.
What is that? Because
Don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's the one that you can name.
A lipid?
No? What
Hydroxyl
functional
group?
group have you drawn there?
What?
What functional group is that?
An R group.
No, R group's not a functional group. R group's a variable placeholder. You've got a hydrocarbon chain there.
Yeah?
What's the functional group that you've attached to it?
A hydroxyl group.
Yeah, so it's not an ester, is it? It's a hydroxyl group.
Right. Don't know what an ester was.
An ester would be, so you do R connected to C. That C would be double bonded to one oxygen and then single bonded to another, which would be single bonded to another carbon. And then that would have 2 hydrogens coming off it and another R group.
That's nowhere in my notes. I have to assume we did this at the end.
Yeah, I think we probably did. All right, Laura. Well, yeah, probably that one would have been out of 2. So if I just work out what you've got there, just do the old mathos. 5 out of 14.
Pretty bad.
Felt better when you were doing it, but that was actually bad.
That was are you sure? 5?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really bad.
Yeah.
Oh, A-level's really hard.
You got 1 for the hydroxyl group, 2 for the fatty acid, and 2 for the polar bond. And that was it. You said a lot.
Yeah. Oh well, there's always next time. There we go. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. That's husband of the podcast teaching phonics to child of the podcast. It's a whole new thing. It's really terrifying. I think primary school is the only place in my life I've really ever excelled, and now they've changed it all. And we're a little way off primary school with child of the podcast, but we are trying to work out what we can teach her now to just make her seem really rad when she gets there. And it's not just letters now. And it's not even. Like when I was little, it was P for penguin. Then it was P for penguin. Now it's P for penguin. You're not supposed to put the vowel sound for it. So, not s for sausage, it's s for sausage. And you have to remember not to add a vowel sound when you supply it to them. We've also screwed up and we've taught her all the letters in capitals, so she's probably going to be a serial killer. That's terrifying. But she'll probably start with us, so we won't even know the extent of her crimes. Right. Enjoy your weeks, everybody, and thank you for listening. I'm going to New Zealand at the end of this week. So if you're listening in real time, the week that this is released, what's that, about 21st of April? If you've got any tips for taking a 3-year-old on a 27-hour flight, if you've got any tips for taking me on a 27-hour flight, I think I've been so preoccupied with wondering what to do with her, I haven't even thought about how I'm going to cope. If you've got recommendations for Auckland and Wellington, or things that you can do with ease within about a day of being in either of those places, let me know. And if you want to come to those shows, let me know. Well, don't let me know, actually. Just buy a ticket and I'll see you there. And I'm at the Edinburgh Festival. Buy tickets for that. Gosh, there's lots going on, isn't there? I'm just so busy. I'm such a dreamy, dreamy little girl. Hey, Ron will be back next week. And we'll catch up on all the stuff that I was probably supposed to stay on this week. But for now, thank you for being the loveliest listenership that's ever existed. I know other podcasts have other shiny features, but I do think our shiniest, featureiest thing is you. And I'm very grateful for you all. Have a lovely week. Take care. Class dismissed.